everybody. I don't know. I just feel like I got to do
Song.
yeah, it's like you got to sing it. I mean, if you just say it, that's cool. But when you sing it, it makes
It's
it that much cooler.
it's much better.
It is much better,
So
I
much better.
think. Yeah. So whenever you sing things, I don't know. I do it randomly,
You do
and I
do that
don't know why I do
randomly.
it, but I think it brings a added coolness factor to me.
Yeah,
Maybe.
definitely. Added coolness factor. Welcome, guys, to this episode. This week we are talking about back to school.
Back to school bash.
Do we have.
See, I almost did it there, didn't I? I'm like, yeah, that was more like an announcement. So you got two levels, right? You can sing something or you can announce something, and it just adds that coolness
It's
factor.
really the only reason that I have you on here.
So really,
Yeah.
if y'all get anything else or nothing else from this episode, it is that if you sing something or if you announce
Hmm.
something, you're just adding your coolness to whatever you're doing. So, boom,
So
nugget for the day.
do it.
Take it,
Sing
pick
it.
it up, run with it, and keep the baton. This is not a pass the baton on that one. So.
You know what I realized while you were talking so much about that? This is our first year that nobody in our family, our immediate
Oh,
family, is
that's
going
true.
back to school.
Wow, I never thought about that.
The
That
one
is
in
true.
college is done with college.
Yeah.
None of the other ones are
Yeah, really,
going.
they're all kind of college bound if they wanted to. So we had
Yeah.
one try and decide, this I want to go a different route, and then our other two are they're kind of what they're wanting to do doesn't necessarily take. Well, no, I take that back. Devin, he's possibly, depending on what he wants to do, might go to college. Our youngest
Yeah.
is like, no, don't. I'm done with
No.
school, and you're lucky that I even made it through school.
Although I'm hoping that she will change her mind. But I
She
mean,
might.
beauty school or something, or business school, anything. But you never know. And then
Never know.
our oldest, Susan, she graduated last year. And
Yeah.
so she is actually going back to school, but as a teacher this year. And then Randall graduated
I
this last
graduated
year.
too. I mean, you're talking like you hit your 30s, you're in your 30s, and then you decide to go back to college, and that's an awakening right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember going back to school myself, and and really kind of the topic that we're getting into with back to school is all the stress that comes along
Hmm.
with going back to school.
Especially when you have multiple children going back to school. As a teacher and who had kids going back to school, that was like overload stress because you're getting ready for your own classroom plus your children going back. So, and then if your kids are going off to college, it's not only a little stressful, but also kind of sad.
Yeah. But then too, you've got if your kids are like in a secondary school, they're in high school, middle school, things like that, then most of the time it just doesn't stop there. You've got sports. Now they're having to be to school, having to be to school. Listen, to,
Having to be to
having to
school.
be to school,
Be to school.
be to school. So you have to, you have to get to school earlier. You got to drop them off earlier, or they're having to stay late, and or you got band, you got music, things like that. I remember band. I was in band.
You got to start like midsummer
You
back.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like well into July that you're starting, and half your summer's gone. So when school starts, it's just that added stress of now I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get my kids here, I got to get them there, and then when you add more than one child, man, boom. Now, as husband and
Mm-hmm.
wife, it's like, okay, you drop them off over here, and I'll go do this,
Yeah.
and it just really
You got to
starts
bring in them
adding.
grandparents to help with the
I
duties,
remember the
depending on when you
grandparents.
have to be at certain places. So there's a lot. And last episode, we were talking about mindset, correct?
Yep.
So if we are not in the correct mindset, it can become very overwhelming and we lose track of all the blessings and all the positive in this season that you have with your children. Your children, God willing, don't do this grade again. They do it one time. Even if for some odd reason they did repeat the grade again, you're still not going to have this year back, this experience that they are going to have this year with all your kids at this certain age that they're at. So it's very important to.
What is, and it's easy to forget that
Mhm.
because I remember many a times dropping Riley off or dropping any one of our kids off at school, and it's the thought of I got to get to work, I got to make sure that they're here at this time, that way I can be here at this time, or even trying to coordinate schedules to where everybody's getting where they need to be, and you get so focused on the daily grind that you miss, man, this is kind of a blessing I get to drop my kids off, or man, it's a blessing I actually get to pick my kids up. We can see it more of a as a chore or a task, just that it's an extra thing thrown in our day, and miss the blessings of the moment. And I take myself back there because I failed at that a lot. I am very task oriented, just making sure that everything's done, and you start looking back, and there were moments that I would capture it, or you would see your for me, I would see Riley walking off to her class, and it'd be just in that moment that I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of her, and
Yeah.
and it's just kind of capturing that moment of, it kind of comes back to you and then brings that little joy, and I think it's so easy for the daily grind to lose
You
that
get those
joy.
little flashbacks of when they're little and they were walking into school and now they're like a freshman in high school or in college walking off
Yeah.
and it reminds me that was one of my like parenting fails that like I really regret is when little Riley was starting pre-K was the same year I was starting my internship for teaching. And I'm a huge rule follower. I have learned over the last couple years that sometimes following all the rules does not get you ahead in life, but I'm not saying to break them. But sometimes there are ways around. I'm gonna talk about that in just a second. But our rules for all the new upcoming intern teachers, part of the internship was to be in the school, which was an hour away from where we live, at this certain time that morning. We were supposed to check in for our first day of class, but it was also the kids' first day of class. And so little Riley, like Devin walked up, no problem. Little Riley's starting pre-K. We had done the meet the teacher and stuff, but this is first day, and I'm dropping her off early, and she's like, why do they make the carport or the walkway? It's so long. And so I pull up, and the
They gotta
kids
fit
get
all the
out.
kids. It's a lot of kids. It's like fish,
Oh
like a
man,
school of fish.
it's so long, and it's like this covered area, and so Devin just goes in. I don't even remember exactly like Devin even going in or what. I just remember Riley standing there, turned around like midway through, looking at me, just crying, and I'm like in my car, like, go, go, just go in, and then I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Because I can't wait any longer. I'm not gonna make it an hour in time to get to class, but I'm just leaving my baby right there, and like, so somebody came and like ushered her in or something, or Devin came back. I don't even remember that part. I just remember driving the next hour crying because I just left her like that, but I didn't.
What a mom. Golly, terrible mom.
I know, right?
Golly.
But I didn't. The good news is that was the last year I had to do that, because the next year I actually started teaching at the school that they went to, and then I walked in with them for all of their other first days of school all the way through
So you
6th
made
grade.
up for it, is what you're
I did
saying.
make up for it, but that
You missed
year
that moment.
ripped, it was like ripped into my heart, my chest, and just squeezed it. And then I get there though to my class, and we get checked in and everything, and it was like this super short little lecture, just like check-in thing.
Don't you love it when they do that? It's like I wasted my time getting up, putting on my clothes to come in here for you to say, hey,
Yeah.
here's a paper, take it home, do it. What?
And it was like
Could you not have emailed this?
we were like in a smaller group because there wasn't that many that were fixing to be like intern teachers. And so we went and like did a little one-on-one afterwards, and she asked questions, and I explained to her like what had just happened, or maybe I asked about drop off, like what time I need to be at the next meeting because my kid's dropping off at school. I asked some question, and she's like, oh, you should have said something. You could have showed up a little later. We could have figured this out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's just one of those things. I just want to tell you now.
But you know what would have happened if
What?
you did that? Like if you went ahead and stayed, then try to communicate that later, she probably would have been upset, right? She would have been like, "No, you're late to class," and
Yeah.
hammer,
So
pa.
the moral of the story is
You didn't like my story?
no.
Okay, go ahead. What's the moral?
The
of
moral
story?
of the story is just break the law. Just no. The moral.
No, wait, disclaimer. We do not believe that. Don't.
The moral is yes, there are rules and procedures and things, but sometimes we can think outside the box and come up with other ways. Just sometimes we can get so focused on this is how it has to be because this is how it's always been, or this is how someone said. Like sometimes we can get creative with things so that we aren't making things more difficult than they need to be. And that's, I asked in the Facebook group what they thought we were going to talk about today. What did they think was like some essential
Because we did leave it up in the air. We just said we're talking back to school,
back to
which
school?
that could be a lot. That could encompass a lot of different topics, or it could be like a 5 hour episode or something to that
A
nature.
how to put
So,
your kids bed.
Just
to
letting
bed
y'all
early.
know, we got about another 4 hours and 45 minutes to go. So y'all just bear with. No, I'm just kidding.
You were on a roll today.
I'm
He's
just
on a roll.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Uh, so there are all these things like when we thought about it, like, you know, do you talk about like routines in your house and getting them to bed early and preparing them to go back? And I'm just going to tell you as a teacher, yes, those things are important. Please get your kids to bed early.
Deodorant is awesome.
Deodorant as early as second grade, because second grade used to be across the hall from my
'Cause,
class.
man, we be stinking.
There were some stinky kids.
Them boys.
But like, you know, the pressure that you put on yourself as a mom, you might know. I don't know, Randall. Tell me if this
Oh
is
yeah,
for
definitely. As a mom, I was.
you. Okay, so the pressure that you put on finding the 3-pack of glue sticks,
Ah,
or the
yeah.
manila paper,
Yeah.
or the right size crayons, especially for the younger kids, because it would be like the jumbo size crayons. And the parents would come in so stressed on me, the teacher, like, I've looked over all the stores in a 30-mile radius and I cannot find any more manila paper. I am so sorry. And I'm like, girlfriend, if you only knew I had a stack of manila paper to last us 5 years.
But it is the pressure because as a parent we don't know that. And
Yeah.
I do remember kind of the stresses of doing all the school supplies and you get the list and you're trying to decipher the list for number one. It's like, what the crap is that? You know?
Yeah,
And
what
then,
is
and then you're running through Walmart or Target going, you're trying to match things up. I guess this is kind of what it is. And yeah, no, I remember though that there were some schools that, or they started it a few times a year to where they had the prepackaged things at the school. All you had to do was pay for it, and they gave you everything that you needed, and that was glorious. I mean, whenever I saw that, it was almost like angels came and sang, and I don't have to go shopping. I can buy it here in one spot.
I could see certain personalities like loving that. I did not like it. I liked the hunt of the school supplies.
Oh my god!
I don't know
no,
why. I
no.
liked the smell of the aisles.
Oh
Yeah, no,
no!
it wasn't you. Well, I'm glad they
No.
have options for every
Goodness.
kind.
What kind of that's like funky smells?
No,
You get all kinds of weird smells.
no, it's just
Mm.
great and weaving, bobbing and weaving in and out the aisles.
Get
trying
out
to-
of my way! I gotta get the manila paper. That's mine.
Oh,
yeah.
good times.
Glory
good
days.
times.
But anyways, the
The
stress.
point, yes, is
Hey B fam, Randall and Scarlett here. Blended families can be hard at times. There can be all kinds of obstacles that we face, even more than being in just a nuclear family or a family before there's divorce and step parenting. These obstacles can make you feel like you're all alone at times, stealing away your hope, your happiness, and even leave you wondering if your family is going to make it through these challenges.
But there's one thing that we can be certain of, and that God is for you, and He wants your family not just getting by, but receiving all of His grace and blessings. Randall and I know the struggles all too well, and we have both learned so much from our blended family journey that God put it on our hearts to share it with you. everything that we've learned in almost 15 years.
Yeah, we've seen our family go through so much chaos, but came out on the other end with a strong marriage and strong relationships with all of our kids. So we've created this complete roadmap to navigate through blended family life. We've laid it all out in a video series called Overcoming Blended Family Issues. There's a lot of information we provide through our podcast and blogs with so much free information that we really want you to have. But for those who want the shortcut, to have it all in one place, we put all this information in a complete roadmap that walks you through it step by step.
The awesome thing is that you can watch it from your own home. We give you valuable tools and information along with things that you can put into place to see more positive results in your family.
So if you're having a lot of blended family issues going on right now, or even want to grab all this information before you do, be sure to check out our video series, Overcoming Blended Family Issues. Or maybe you even know someone who could use this help. Pass it along. They'll thank you for it. The link to the video series is in this episode's show notes below. Now, back to our episode.
Those things are the things that we allow to stress us out, or buying all the back to school clothes. Like, why do we feel like we have to buy all those clothes the months leading up to school starting back?
I mean, high water pants, we got to make that a thing.
I mean, my daughter's
Come
into
on.
fashion and she likes the high water pants. So I'm just
Yeah.
saying, no, I'm just saying, like, we put so much pressure on all the things that have to be done those few weeks before, when in reality, like, if you buy them a couple outfits a month in, like, is it really we're gonna hurt anything? Or if you don't show up with the third box of tissues, bring some tissues around Christmas time. Trust me, they're gonna start needing more tissues around then. So there's just so many things that we put pressure on that aren't as important, but then there's some areas that we don't think about that are very important and have longer not consequences, but what's the word I'm going for? Like
I think they actually rob the joy out of your family. It is basically kind of what it boils down to, because we put all this stress on most time the little things, and I've been there, done that as well. I mean, this is something that we've had to learn over a course of time, but really the memory of watching your kids going to school or watching them perform in their sports or activities, those are moments you don't get back. Those are moments that it's so short time. They're going to be in and out of school before you know it, and it's like, oh my goodness, So it's really taking it back, and that's kind of one of the hearts of us talking today is just really refocusing, getting our mindset back on, man, this is a new season for my child. This is a new season for me, and to really just enjoy that, right? Enjoy that moment. Enjoy that picture of them walking off, or just them being in this new grade, and kind of the excitement and the nervousness that goes along with it. That doesn't come back, So it's really just kind of refocusing, getting away from the stress, saying, you know what, all the other stuff, I mean, it's just stuff. Don't let that stress me out and get us to this point. Let's enjoy each other in this time. But yeah, as you were talking about, is sometimes we can add too much stuff. And along with that comes the stress, and now we're really overworked. We're really running from here to there to everywhere. And so that comes kind of to our second point.
Yeah, that's what it's completely 100% okay to be picky and choosy on what you say yes and what you say no to. Like, don't feel guilty that you say no to certain things, but if you're gonna say yes, make sure it's something that is going to benefit and bless your family and bring that joy. When they start asking for, well, we need a parent to, coach this team during this time, like, if that is something you love, like, say yes, do it, and enjoy that time with your kids. But if that's just adding one more thing and you're like dreading every moment of it, say no. I'm sure there is another parent out there that maybe they're a little introverted and they're not wanting to put themselves out there, and they're just waiting for somebody to ask them. Like, when we learned a valuable lesson with that, like, we don't have to say yes to everything. Sometimes us saying no allows somebody else to step up and perform that role. It needs to be done. But there's so many different things that, like, even with your kids, like, if they want to get involved in something, like, let them be the one to initiate it, or ask them. We were coming up with a few questions, right, of like asking your kids. Don't just sign them up for everything because it's like, okay, everybody else is doing this, let me sign them up for this and this too. Ask your kids, like, take some time this week and say, hey, what kind of sport would you like to play this season? Or what kind of extracurricular, we call them extracurricular activities. I don't know if everybody calls them that in all the different areas, but just the things outside of their regular school day that they're doing. Like, what are some sports that interest you? Or dance, or gymnastics, or karate. Like, there's so many options out there. And sometimes we just like fill our schedule with all the things because it sounds cool, or we loved it when we were younger, and now we want our kids to fall in love with it too. And I think it's cool to give them a shot at it, and like, but not having to.
Yeah. No, and I think as parents, we can be very, very outgoing on that area because our kids, they want to do everything. Depending on their ages, I think the older they get, the more they decide, I do like this, I don't like that. But definitely the younger ages, they want to be involved in everything. And really, it's depending, kid appropriate. If it's a younger child, I'd say 12 or younger, it's really, depending on what they're wanting to get involved in, talk with them about it. Why do you want to get involved with that? And start asking some questions instead of just signing them up for something that they're going to do for 1 week and be like, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. So, and I know we are bad about that, especially as parents. We're just like, oh, well, if you want it, let's do it. And then we're exerting ourselves and stressing out our schedules over something that's really meaningless that they're not going to stick with. They really didn't care. Maybe just they heard a buddy talking about it or something.
They're probably not going to get a scholarship. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to make it all the way to college and play that. There are some. There are
For
a select
sure.
few. But if you're having to force your kid to put on their dance clothes, or to go out there and practice whatever the sport is, and drag them there every single day, it's okay to have a conversation with them and be like, look, bud, do you even want to do this anymore? And if their answer is no, don't let what your friends are doing, or your love for the sport, push that or force that and make everybody miserable. If they don't want to do it, just take it off the schedule. And maybe, just maybe, they realize, dang, I miss it.
I really want to do that. And then maybe that gives them a more drive to practice or to, to want to excel in whatever it is they're doing. Some of the worst things I've seen kids do is they get involved so heavily in one thing and they do it for a few years and they get burnt out, and then they're done. And it's like all that time we poured into this. So, and that could be with anything. But the thing is the more things we get involved in as a family, the more stress it can put on us as a family. So it's really just trying to decide, is this worth it? Is this what I want? Is this what my child wants? And really getting down to the heart of it. And if so, then yes, awesome, go for it.
Do it.
Y'all do it, right? But
and enjoy it.
But if
while
you
you're
start
doing it.
talking about it, and it's like you start getting the vibe of, nah, they're really, their heart's not really into it, or you don't really see them practicing, or things like that, then you start questioning, maybe that's something that can be cut out of the schedule. That way y'all can do other things as a family together instead of running around all over the place, divided and separated. So, it's really just kind of shifting the mindset on, is this what our family wants? Is this what we want our family to look like? Because we can get so involved that we let all the events dictate the outcome of our family. And that's kind of the problems that are easy for us as family to fall into. Mm-hmm. And especially as blended families, whenever we're talking blended families, now you don't just have our family dynamics, but you've got their other parent and what they're involved with over there.
Yeah.
And so then you've got that pull there as well, which pulls them, of course, to that side that, when they're spending time there, but that makes y'all's time together that much more valuable.
Yeah, because
So,
you're already shortening what would be 4 weekends out of a month, in a lot of situations in blended families, two weekends out of the month. So I mean that's pretty intense when you have half the weekends that you're able, and then half of the summertime. So it does make a big difference.
so just as human beings, as family, we can just and I'm going to throw it in there, today's generation where we've got internet, we've got every easy access to everything. We are just so overloaded, and it's easy to overload our
Hmm.
schedules because there's so much at our fingertips that we can do each and every day. So as a family, it's really deciding, what do we want, what can we cut out, and what do we want as a family to do together, or what do we want to do individually to make it work, but that we're all not over stressed, we're not over extended on our time to where now we're at each other's throats, we're not happy, it's sucking the joy out of each and every
Hmm.
one of us. That's the last thing we want for any of our families. So you know there's a I think that's something we learned over the course of kind of us parenting and going through the process of, you know, there's so much that we don't need to be doing. There's so much that we can start cutting out
Yeah.
instead of getting to this point. Because whenever we start cutting things out and we start having more time together, you start drawing closer together. You start blending so much more together. And, that's the invaluable. That's better than any sport that they're just going to do for a little bit, or any music thing that they're going to do for a little bit and then drop out, or this is having that investment in each other. That's the true value. So it's when school happens, it's just so much more we can get involved, so much more things, so much more options for us to do. So
Hmm.
it's not, we're not saying don't do anything, of course not. It's just saying watch what you do and don't overload your
Yeah,
schedule.
and think of your like motives behind it, and is it your motives or is it for your kids? Like I just remember, like as you're talking, with little Riley, having her in dance, and at first she wanted dance, she wanted to be in dance, and then over the years it was more of me making her go to dance, and she never wanted to go to practice and class and stuff. But I was like, no, you have to do it because when you try out for shipmates, you're gonna, you need to have all this experience. She got into high school and she didn't want to do shipmates anymore. She didn't care. Like she changed to
Which that's a
cheerleading.
cheerleading, yeah,
Yeah,
or
well, like a dance team.
dance team, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I guess not everybody knows that stuff. But she got into intermediate first and then switched to like, oh, I want to do cheerleading now. And so then she did cheerleading for a little bit, but then she had a torn meniscus and stuff, and that changed her ability to do things. And then she never even tried out for dance. So it's like all the things that I was like dragging her through all of these years of her elementary to do these dances because I wanted to see her cute on the stage because it's adorable. And because I wanted to give her all the opportunities so that when she tried out, she would make the team. And if I really searched back into my story, it's because I was too scared to try out for the dance team until I was older. And so because I didn't think I was good enough. And so I was, projecting that on her, even though I didn't think I was, blah, blah, blah. But
So yeah, it's really kind of doing a self reflection as well, and uh, but it's so easy. Back to school is tough. It's challenging. It can really start stressing out our schedules, which
Mhm.
then stress out our family because we're all running from places. So really, the points that we're bringing is one, cherish the moment.
Mhm.
Man, you don't get it back, and start instead of focusing on all the stress and the have to and the to-do list, start focusing on this new season that your family's in, that your child is stepping into this new grade, how exciting it is, how
Mhm.
scared probably they are, and just really refocusing on that and enjoying that process, enjoying dropping them off and watching them walk that long aisle to get through the school doors. But how powerful that is. I still envision that with my kids, and they're old now, older, and it's just those memories you don't get back, and you just cherish it, you love it. And so it's
Mhm.
starting to focus not on all the stress and the to-dos and the grind, the day-to-day grind, but just on the moments, right? And then two is focusing on our schedule. What are some things that we can cut out, and what are some things we can gain time back for our family? because as blended families, our time is valuable because there is a lot more pulling at it. So let's cut out all this stuff, the unnecessary stuff, and focus more on what's really important to our family, what our family really wants. What do our kids really want? And so that kind of leads to the just this week. If you haven't, maybe you're killing it in this area, and I say killing it in a good way. I should probably say something else. maybe you're just doing amazing in this area. How's that? Is that better?
Better?
Maybe you're doing awesome, or maybe we should sing it. Maybe you're doing awesome,
no.
because remember that we're stepping up on our coolness. So I don't know. I mean, whatever it is to you and your family.
Yeah. Okay.
But taking this week and having those conversations with your kids, just saying, maybe they're involved in something, or maybe they're involved in multiple things, and it's like, why are you involved in this? I mean, what really, why do you like it? Do you like it? And just kind of saying as a family, what are some things that are we overworking our schedule? Are there some things that we can cut out that we're just doing to do? That we could cut out. That way we could really have more time together.
More time together.
So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, that is good stuff.
Yeah.
Do we want to pray over them and their family?
Pray over them, yeah, for sure.
Yes?
Yes.
Me?
Yeah. You want me to pray, or you pray?
I'll pray.
Okay.
All right, Father God, we just thank you right now for this topic right here, Lord, this back to school time, that each family that's listening to this, that even if school has already started, that they're taking this time to just treasure these moments, this season in life that they have with their kids, regardless if it's their little one walking down the walkway for the first time to their kindergarten class, or if it's their college kid that they've checked into the dorm. Lord, whatever it is, that they're taking every single moment in, because they will not get this time back, Lord. Let them treasure, let them focus, that their mindset be on the things, the positive things, Lord, and not the things that they're missing out on. Lord, I just pray that you give them new creative ideas to connect with each other during this season. That as they're talking about and discovering what they want on their schedule, Lord, that they're having open conversations with their kids, even at the youngest age, to find what brings their kids joy, what lights them up and excites them. And then they're adding those things in the schedule, Lord, and that they're the yeses that they have, that they're yeses that bring their family closer together and just bring that joy in their family, and that they have the courage and just the strength to say no to things that don't benefit their family. Father, I pray that they don't sweat the small stuff, all the little stressors during this season of life, that they're able to just look past that, Father, and just let it go, and stop taking things so serious, and just enjoy each of the moments that they have with their family. I thank you for that you are there present with them. You're there guiding them and leading them in these conversations that they're having, and that when they're doing these extracurricular activities with their kids, that they're enjoying those memories and those moments that they have with them. Let them be wise on the things that they put on their schedule. And I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Good stuff. Enjoy back to school. Man, it's one of those you don't get back, right? So it can be so stressful, but let's refocus not on the stress, but on the good stuff.
Yep.
So,
all right, bye.
We'll see you later.
Guys.
See you next time. Hey, thanks for joining us today for another episode of Enjoying Your Blended Family. All the links we've talked about today, they're in the show notes below. If you've enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe below. It's free, and it lets you know when we have another episode for you to listen to.
And if you want to help us out, leave us a rating and review so that we can keep reaching more people. Until next time, remember to enjoy the moment.